swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty for perjury?
I do.
Good afternoon. Can you please state your full name and spell it for the record?
Yes, Scott Singleton, ScottSingleton.
Where were you employed in April of 2021?
With the Michigan State Police.
What was your title?
I was a detective sergeant.
How long were you a detective sergeant?
I was a detective sergeant for 12 years.
How long did you work at MSP in total?
27 years.
All right. Did you become involved in the Warner case at some point in time?
I did.
When was that?
In March of 2022, so almost a year from when she went missing.
Was that when they created the task force for D. Warner?
Yes.
All right. What was your role at that time?
My role was to assist the Sheriff's Department. Detective Lieutenant Dreyer was assigned. I was assigned as his backup to assist him. So I was assigned to just do anything that they required of me or anything that they needed.
When you first became involved in March 2022, what types of things did you do for the investigation?
Well, when I first got all the evidence in the investigation, I had never seen any of it. I had read through the reports. I went through all the evidence, all the photos, the phone dumps, the surveillance on the farm, the surveillance cameras.
Did you watch any body-worn cameras?
Yes,
Okay.
several.
When you said you looked at the surveillance footage from the Munger farm, how much footage did you look at?
Well, I looked at it all, and I spent probably hundreds of hours looking at that surveillance film.
Okay. Did you look into the financials at some point of the Warners?
Yes, a few months into assisting, but probably around July, it was determined that we would start looking into the financials.
Why did you do that?
There was a theory from the defendant that his wife had stolen a large amount of money and was living out of the country.
And did you meet with him to discuss this?
I met with him briefly at the farm, and he introduced me to his financial guy,
And what did he say? Who was his financial guy?
Mark Weisberg.
What did he tell you about Mark Weisberg?
He had hired him. Mark Weisberg was previously employed at the farm, and then he hired him back after Dee went missing to look over the books and the financials.
Okay, and so who went over the financials with you?
Mark Weisberg did.
And was that at Dale Warner's request?
Yes.
All right. So when you're looking at the financials, what types of things are you looking at?
Well, Mr. Weisberg had gone through, and he had indicated that there was upwards of $1 million that they said was missing, and he gave me, I guess, different examples of schemes that were to divert money from the business to her personally.
Okay, and what were those ways?
There were several. Immediately it became where included in this $1 million figure was credit card charges on the business accounts that then they just paid off with the business money, but they were personal. I wasn't concerned with that, but there was a lot of that. What I was mostly looking for was any hidden accounts that she may have, that she may be living comfortably off somewhere else, or any cash that was unaccounted for. So
Okay.
there were invoices that were paid in the trucking company. There was beef sales, grain sales. There was reward redemption points on their credit card that were unaccounted for on the business books. But I was trying to account for where that money went.
All right. Have you investigated financial crimes before?
Yes.
And in what capacity?
As all my years as a detective, I've done numerous embezzlement investigations. Prior to becoming a detective sergeant, when I was a trooper, I was assigned to a couple of different task forces, federal task forces, both the Secret Service and the IRS. doing financial crimes, so I had a little bit of a background in financial crimes.
Okay. And so you looked at, you said beef sales and income from the businesses, and you were also looking for any bank accounts that she might be living off of. Is that
Correct.
all right? And did you find any bank accounts that Ms. Warner could be living off of?
Not that we didn't know about. There was one account that was associated with the business, but they called it wasn't on the books. It wasn't in their computer system, but it was associated with one of the businesses. The statements and everything were in the office, so it wasn't a secret hidden account that nobody knew about. But there was one that was not associated with the business.
Okay. I believe you indicated that originally when you started looking at this, or you met with Dale Warner and Mark Weisberg in July of 2022, the amount started out at $1 million. Is that what you said?
Yeah, there were numerous figures thrown around throughout the entirety of the investigation.
Okay.
It started out $1 million, and I think the last I heard was, she stole $2 million and fled to Jamaica or something of that nature.
Okay. And were you able to find any sums of money that were unaccounted for?
Yeah, I traced as much as I could, and when things go to cash, it's a little harder to trace. But I did not find any secret accounts that she was living off of in Jamaica or accessing or anything like that. But I did come up with some figures of money that was unaccounted for.
And what was that figure?
It was about $34,000 over a 2.5-year period before she went missing.
Okay. Were you also part of a search on Paragon, or strike that, were you part of some large-scale searches in May of 2023?
Yes.
Tell me about them.
Well, the defendant had access to or owned thousands of acres that he farmed, and we thought it important to, some of these properties were already searched from the Sheriff's Department prior to us becoming involved, but we wanted to make sure we touched everyone, searched them thoroughly to make sure that we covered all our bases.
Okay. And approximately how many properties do you think you searched?
Oh, I don't even know. It was,
Okay. Do you know the approximate acreage?
It was about 3,000 acres
All right.
in total.
Based on those searches, did you do another more in-depth search of another location?
Yeah, based on information, while we were conducting those searches, based on information we obtained, there was an address on Paragon that became, Paragon Road, that became more important to us after the searches began.
All right. And what did you do with, based on the information that you received, what did you do?
We received information that during our searches of these other properties, Mr. Warner was initially said that he was digging at this property on Paragon. We sent someone by to make contact, a detective. He wasn't digging, but he was moving a collapsed structure, and he was using heavy equipment on that property.
Okay. And so did you decide to start to do a more thorough search of that location?
Yeah, it was on our radar. In part of the reason of this big search, we wanted to touch every property that he had access to, but we also wanted to see how he would react to us searching all his properties. So, and while we were searching his property, he went to this specific property, so it also became interesting there. The property itself used to have a house on it and a barn, and it was the property was demolished, the house was, and it was buried in its foundation. So there was some digging after she went missing. And there was a fire, burned the debris, and then buried it. So it always was kind of interesting to us. It had already been searched prior a couple times, but we were still interested in searching it again.
All right. So when you're talking about the property on Paragon, are you on the north side of Paragon or the south side of Paragon?
Yeah, so the property on Paragon, it's split. On the north side is where the house and the barn sat, which are both demolished. The house was buried. The barn is demolished, but there was still debris around. Now on the south side of the road, there is another barn there, which ultimately is where D. Warner's body was located.
Okay.
But we were focused on the north at that time.
On the north side,
Yes.
okay. And did you eventually go search that property?
Yes.
All right, and when was that?
It was early, you mean,
In relation to sending your trooper over there to kick Mr. Warner off the property?
yeah, so we sent a detective over there the night we got the information. He made contact with Mr. Warner, asked him to leave the property, and we set a trooper there overnight to secure the property so that no one came and disturbed it. And we were going to seek a search warrant to dig that foundation of the house that was buried the next morning.
And did you come back the next morning?
We did.
Do you know approximately what time?
It was really early in the morning. We started around between 7 and 8 probably.
Who did you arrive at the property with?
I was there with Detective Lieutenant Dreyer, another Detective Sergeant Fergursky. There was a trooper still there that was securing the property. I can't recall everybody who was there. But
Was there other law enforcement officers
Yeah, there was a handful of us there.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
canines, cadaver canines. Yeah, a human remains expert.
Okay. And what was the plan with that property?
We were going to excavate where the house was basically collapsed and burned and then buried. We were going to excavate that foundation with heavy machinery.
When you arrived at the Paragon property to do that search and excavation, did anybody other than law enforcement show up that morning?
Yes, the defendant did show up.
Okay. How long had you been there before he arrived?
It wasn't too long before we arrived that he showed up.
Did you have a conversation with him?
Yes.
And what did you talk about?
He just wanted to know what we were doing, and we explained that we were going to be digging the foundation, and he offered to stick around, but we asked him to not be on the property at that time.
Okay. And did you indicate when you were going to be digging up the property that you were looking for his wife?
I don't recall specifically, but
Okay.
I guess that was implied. But.
Out of the other thousands of acres that you had searched up until this point, had the defendant ever offered to help you search?
No.
You indicated that you watched hundreds of hours of surveillance footage from the Munger farm?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 30. Now, we've already had testimony about the security footage, and I just want to know if this was how it appeared to you on the footage. So I'm going to go to Building 1, and it's all red.
Yes.
And so that indicated that there were interior cameras in that building. Was that accurate?
Correct.
All right. And at the top of that building, you'll see the V coming out. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And would that be the correct angle of that camera?
Yes.
All right. Building 5, the north end of that building where it's lit up red,
Yes.
is that also where the interior cameras in that building were?
Yes.
All right. And see the black circle and it kind of the red lines that go out?
Yes.
All right. And would that also be accurate for where those cameras were?
Yes. That's the field of view of the
Okay.
camera. Yes.
All right. And Building 6, do you see the red area on that?
Yes.
And did you observe that on the camera footage?
Yes. That's the office. Yes.
All right. And then, again, to the east of Building 6, we see the arrows going out. Is that what you saw in the footage?
Yes.
All right. Oops. Was there any cameras located inside Building 7?
No, there was not.
So in Building 1, how did the camera system operate in that building when you were watching them?
When I was watching, there was multiple cameras in building one. It's actually two halves. There's a front part of, we call it the old shop. There's the front part of the old shop and the back part, and there were multiple camera angles all throughout, covering almost all of both sections of the shop. It was motion activated, so when people came in or light came in, it would activate the camera.
Okay. And what about the north side of Building 5? How did that camera work?
Same thing. There was only one camera in there. It was on the west wall facing east, and it was motion activated as well.
Okay. Office camera, same thing?
Same thing, yes, motion activated.
All right. What about the scale cameras when you were reviewing those?
There's actually two cameras there. I'm not sure if they're two independent cameras, but there's two views. One is a normal view, and then one is a fisheye view, so it gives a wider view of the area.
Did you watch footage from April 25th, 2021?
I did.
In the old shop, was there a lot going on in the old shop?
Yeah, on the 25th, there was a lot going on. One of the employees, I mean, I think it was a Sunday, it was an off day, but Ivan Boyd, he was in the old shop with his brother working on his vehicle.
All right. What about the new shop on April 25th, 2021? Was there a lot of activity in there?
There wasn't a lot of activity. There was some throughout the day, but not a lot at all.
The office?
The office had a lot of activity. Once it was discovered that Dee Warner was missing, a lot of the family came together, and that's where they congregated in the office.
All right. Do you know what time that camera stopped activating on April 25th, 2021?
In the office?
Correct.
The family left around 4 o'clock, and there was, I believe there was one activation later in the night, but that was from the lights of a vehicle that shone through the windows, and light tends to activate those, but there was no activity within the office. But 4 o'clock is when activity in the office ceased.
All right. And do you know what time the activation started in the office that morning?
It was 10:07.
Okay. And the scale cameras from the 25th, was there a lot of activity on that?
There's a lot of activity, but specifically with the scale cameras, there's a pine tree right in front of them, so the wind blows just a little bit, moves those branches. It's motion activated, but it basically throughout the day stayed on most of the time.
What were you able to do with those cameras?
When you are viewing them in the viewer, you can speed them up, slow them down, zoom in, pan throughout the photo in a zoomed in mode.
Did you do that for what you were looking for on April 25th, 2021?
Yes.
The timestamp on the camera, did that appear to be accurate to you?
It was close, but it was not accurate. It was about a minute and 35 seconds off.
How did you come to that conclusion with it being a minute 35 off?
Whenever we have video surveillance, whether in a gas station for a robbery or whatever, times are always off. So you have to make sure that you know what the correct time is and see what the difference is. Unfortunately, by the time we got involved, it was seized and we couldn't view it live. So what I did was, one of the detectives in this case had a body cam when he responded. And so specifically in the office, when he came in the office, you could see him and I could compare the two times, and it was a minute and 35 seconds off.
All right, so how do you know the body camera timestamp is accurate? Why would you compare it to that?
With the body cameras, they are, whenever you dock them, they communicate with the system, and it automatically resets the clock and makes sure that it's accurate. So it's as long as it is docked, which you have to, or otherwise it'll die on you. The battery doesn't last that long. That camera will stay very accurate.
At some point, while you're looking through the footage from 4/25/2021, do you see something that you feel is important to your investigation?
Yeah, I was looking at just everything that happened that day because that's the day she went missing. But one thing that stood out after that 4 o'clock when the family left, and there appeared to be nobody else on the farm except for the defendant. He was in the old shop and he was looking around some welding equipment. And it appeared, from my view, that he heard something because he looked out the big bay door, and then he kind of crouched down and was looking in a suspicious manner. So it looked like he was startled that somebody may be on the property.
All right. I'm going to show you the footage. This is the old shop, timestamped 4:52. Is this the footage that you're referring to?
Yes.
So what did you do with this information? When you see him by the welder, what do you do with that information?
I mean, I let my partner know. It kind of, there was other things that led us to believe there was a theory that there was some welding perhaps involved in whatever happened.
Okay.
So I also looked at the other videos to see if there's anything else that I could find that was
Okay.
to do with welding.
All right. Did you eventually find Dee Warner's body?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, and that was in August of 2024.
Correct.
And before you found her body, you had noticed other things on the footage from April 25th, 2021 that weren't necessarily important to you at the time, right?
Yeah, there was when you view something without context, it may be there, but you don't necessarily see it until you receive that context. And once we discovered where she was, how she was, her body was disposed of, I took a look back at all the camera footage with that knowledge, and I discovered some other things.
Okay, what additional things did you do after finding her body before looking at that surveillance footage?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes. Was there anything else that you did in addition to watching the surveillance footage after you found Miss Warner's body to help you look at the footage and find what you needed to find?
I did look at other footage that was close to the time of her disappearance on body cams, any footage that was around the farm to see if I could see where that tank was or if we could find that tank.
Okay, and so based on the condition you found her in a tank, you were looking for a tank.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to play People's Exhibit 211, just a small portion of it. Is this the body camera footage that you
Yes.
reviewed? All right, and is that the footage that you were referring to that you watched?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ultimately take a screenshot of that footage?
I did. I was able to pause it and at different locations and get a better look at the tank in the still frame.
All right, I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 79. And is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to have you take there should be a pointer up there with an orange tip, maybe? Maybe not?
Oh. Oh, there it is.
You just pull that out.
Oh, okay.
Can you look at the map behind you, People's 263? Do you know where this location is on that map?
Yes, this is the, it's in this area back here.
Okay. Is that the area where the burn pile would have been?
Yes. And that's, you can see the burn pile in front of the blue truck shell when you, in the video prior to that.
Okay. In addition to watching this body camera and getting that screenshot, did you talk to anybody and ask for some help with the tank?
Yeah, after we found the tank, we talked to a welding expert, and based on, I have no knowledge of welding, but it appeared to me as if the discolored line on there was not a factory weld, but we consulted a expert to confirm that.
Okay. Did you, when you talked to the expert, did you get some guidance on how that end cap would have been taken off and welded back together?
Yeah, prior to that, I had no knowledge of how someone would do such a thing, but he explained, walked through how we would be able to do that.
Okay, and so this is again where, when I asked you some things that didn't necessarily seem important, did they now seem important?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you the old shop, April 25th, 12:51 p.m. Is this one of the?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, but early on, I did find this suspicious as well. I see in putting an angle grinder and blades for the angle grinder into the Kubota, and I know that's a cutting instrument.
So you knew it was suspicious, you just didn't know how it.
Right, yes.
And this shot of the new shop, correct, at 114?
Yeah.
Not the new shop, the old shop.
This is the back of the old shop.
portion, correct.
So I did see him looking for something in that area. You can may not be able to see from theirs, but there's hooks there that he's touching, and then you'll see in a second here he'll turn back around and go and get a chain.
Okay. And based on your conversation with your welding expert, were these relevant to your investigation?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you observe any signs of a welder on the property?
Yeah, there were multiple welders on the property that you could see on camera as well. One in particular stood out after further review.
All right, and which one, what area on the map would that have been?
That would be in the new shop
Okay,
right here,
all right.
where there was one interior camera.
All right, I'm going to show you the new shop at 3:12 p.m. And is that the clip you're referring to?
Yes, that was just 2 clips that were shown. One of the welder, man, I don't know if you can play it again, but if you look at the green toolbox in the center, if you look just to the left of that, you'll see a blue box with a yellow cylinder. Just to the left of that green toolbox.
Okay.
That was the original location of it, and this was at 312, this is the position it was in.
Okay, and then let me ask you this: the old the new shot after this 312 shot, does it activate again?
Not until this next clip
Until
that
the
you
next
just
clip.
showed earlier.
Okay.
So the next time it activates is 6:43 p.m. and you can see that the welder is now in front of the green toolbox and the defendant is walking away.
Okay, so you didn't cut out any video footage or anything like that. This is just when it activated on its own. Is that?
Yeah, the motion detector is on, like I said, the west wall facing east. So when you come in from the east, it appears that it's a hit or miss whether it picks up your motion.
Okay. Were there periods of time, after speaking with your welding expert, were there periods of time that you narrowed down where you believe Dale was in the spray barn for periods of longer than 10 minutes?
Yes.
All right. What periods were those?
There was about a 20-minute period between 126 and 146, and that's just after he retrieved the angle grinder and the blades from the...
Okay, so this is the scale camera at 1:26 p.m.
Yeah, so we see him at 126 heading on the Kubota. And if you look right between the silo and the tree, I know it's a rough angle, but you see it heading right towards the wet barn at 126.
Okay.
And then at 146, you see the sprayer pulling out of the barn.
Okay. What's the next clip that you were referring to that you could place them in or around the spray barn for longer than 10 minutes?
The next longest period that he was in there was for 48 minutes, from 3:41 p.m. to 4:29 p.m.
So we've got 341, and where are we at here?
Yeah, so this is the, on the right is the new shop. The Kubota is driving up this way, and right at the end of the video, you see it kind of starts to make a right.
Okay. And then $429. Which camera is this?
That's the scale camera.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I'd say it's only working half the time, but it's me. It's the operator. All right, now we're at 429. Which camera are we on?
This is the scale camera.
Okay. And what period of time do you say we have there? 48 minutes?
Yeah, 48 minutes.
Okay, what's the next period of time?
The next period of time was just 59 minutes, I would believe. It was between 5:07 p.m. and 6:06 p.m.
Okay. And both the 20-minute, just for clarification, both the 20-minute and the 48-minute period are after he has the angle grinder, the grinding wheels, the hooks and chains.
Correct.
Okay. All right, and then you indicated 507
To 606.
okay. That started out at 507. Now we're at 606. Do I need to start that clip over?
Yeah, you might want to.
507 at the scale cameras.
Yep, 507 scale cameras heading towards the wet barn,
And there we have
and
606.
then 606 heading back.
All right, now we're at 606 on the Kubota. 607 on the JCB.
Correct.
All right, so that was how many minutes?
59 minutes.
After you observe that, do you observe anything else leaving the spray barn?
Yes, I see the front end loader leaving the spray barn on a couple different occasions.
All right. So now we're at 637 at the spray barn. Did you observe anything?
Yeah, it's tough to see. I mean, you can see, it's tough to see from this distance, but you can see the front end loader heading west with something white in the bucket.
Okay. So I'm going to rewind this again. The front end loader appeared to have something white in the bucket.
Correct.
Now we're at the old fuel tanks at 639. And which direction is the JCB heading?
Oh, it's heading east,
All right.
back towards the wet barn, number
All right.
7.
All right. At this point, do you notice anything different?
Yes, when you see this view prior to this frame, on the very left side where you see the burn pit, there is something white in the burn pit, but there's also something white just on the edge of the screen, a circular, round-looking object.
All right. I'm going to show you some screenshots of those cameras. So I've got People's Exhibit 53, okay? April 25th, 2021 at 6:07 p.m. What am I looking at?
So where that pickup truck is, right in front of it is the burn pile. And between the burn pile and the edge of the screen, you'll notice that there's nothing there. And that's at 6:07
Okay.
p.m.
And then I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 54, which is April 55, which is People's Exhibit, or which is 4/25/2021 at 6:39 p.m. What are we looking at now?
Same view, but now you'll see that there's something white that is on the burn pile. but then if you look between the burn pile and the edge of the screen, you'll see the end of an object. Now, based on the way I found this was after seeing that body cam of where that tank was, I looked back on here and I could tell that that was the location of where that tank was from the body cam.
Okay.
It wasn't there at 6:07, now it is there
At 6:39
at
p.m.
6:39.
When you were watching the footage from April 25th, 2021, did you observe Dale Warner on the farm?
Yes.
All right. In and out of buildings, what was he doing?
Yeah, he was in and out of buildings. Besides those portions that he was back in the wet sprayer barn for longer periods of time. He was in and out of the office, looking over their shoulders. They were trying to look at these surveillance cameras. He was just kind of all over the farm.
Did he also leave for periods?
He did.
Did you attempt to go back over the defendant's timeline again for when he left the property that day after discovering all this information? Or before?
I did it before of when he was on the property and when he had left the property.
All right. I'm going to show you April 25th, 2021 at 7:47 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And does that appear to be the first time?
Yes, that's the first time the sprayer leaves the property, and it's gone for approximately 25 minutes.
Okay. And then again, you see the sprayer heading back toward the farm at 8:12 a.m.?
At 8:12 a.m., it's returning to the farm.
Okay. And then that sprayer leaves again.
Then at 8:46, the sprayer leaves again, 8:46 a.m.
Okay. So from 8:12 to 8:46, sprayer appears to be on the property.
Correct.
All right. Out of all of the footage you watched, did you see D. Warner on any of it?
No.
Did you also watch footage from April 27th, 2021?
Yes.
Why?
On April 27, 2021, that is when that body cam footage was, when I saw the tank initially. They were searching the property, and then at some point they were asked to leave. They returned later with a search warrant for the property. So I knew the tank was there on the 27th, so to confirm what happened with it.
Okay, and did you end up confirming what happened with it?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you People's Exhibit 62. This is 4/27 at 8:55 p.m. Are you familiar with that vehicle?
I know what truck it is. It's a little tough to see in this, but that's a GMC pickup truck belonging to the defendant's son, Jaron Warner.
And you said you watched this to determine what happened to that tank that night.
Correct.
For 2021 at 8:37. Again, that's the still we just looked at from 8:55?
Yes, that's
correct?
Jaron Warner's truck pulling in.
Okay. $8.57 at the old tanks,
Yes, that's
the
the
old
same,
shop fuel tanks, I'm sorry.
the same truck going into the dry barn where the drone operators are when they return for the search warrant. The dry barn that's right here. And he's driving back this way.
Is that the footage you were just talking about?
Yes.
All right. On April 25th, I'm going to go back to April 25th, 2021 briefly. Were you able to identify the people that you observed on the footage?
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, who was all on the property?
The people who responded because Dee was missing were daughter Raquel, son Zach, son TJ, her cousin Parker, Shelly Hardy, who's her sister-in-law. They were all in the office area. Ivan Boyd and his brother were in the old shop working. A couple of truck drivers came in, then left, dropped their trucks off, and then left.
Okay. Did you observe them stay for any period of time?
No,
All right.
they just basically dropped and went.
Okay. And those truck drivers, we'll strike that. Did you see Todd Narick on the property that day?
I did.
All right. Anybody else?
There was another driver who dropped a load off. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Okay.
These are very briefly.
Did you do anything else after finding Dee Warner's body?
Yeah, after we found her body, based on the condition we found her in, we executed a search warrant, another search warrant on the farm to look for evidence associated with how she was disposed of.
All right. And do you recall when you did that?
I believe she was located on August 17th, and we executed the search warrant on August 22nd. So,
Okay. When you say the Munger farm, are you talking about the same farm over here?
Yes, the Munger farm.
All right. What types of items were you looking for?
We were looking for tarps, duct tape, paint, decals for a tank, any items that were associated with the tank or the manner in which she was, her body was located in.
Did you go over there was it just you or a whole group of people?
Oh, no, we executed search warrants, so we had a whole crew of people.
Have you executed search warrants before?
Oh, yeah.
How many of them do you think?
In my career?
Yeah.
Oh, hundreds, yeah.
Okay. When you got to the Munger property, what'd you do?
Well, with any search warrant, first thing we did, we secured the property. We had uniformed troopers with us, so we staged them at the entrances of the property so no one could come or go without getting past the troopers. We made contact with all the people on the farm and made sure that they couldn't move about the property. Then we usually have someone photograph everything exactly how it was when we found it when we got there, before we even start searching.
All right. When you're searching, there's multiple people doing the search, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you're not necessarily the one taking in everything, correct?
Correct.
All right. I am going to have Detective Sergeant Drew Yor get out exhibits 112, 113.
Thank you.
Exhibits 112, 113, 236. $239. Don't spill anything.
I promise.
Okay. I'm going to have you grab the paint samples first.
Okay.
Okay. Find the one labeled, the stick labeled one. Okay.
Okay.
So did you at some point after executing the search warrant come back and take some samples?
Yes, we had the lab come out and take paint samples off the tank itself. And then they requested any paint that we found on the property to take samples of that, submitted to the lab so they could do comparison.
Okay, so paint was seized from the Munger property and placed in the property room with MSP?
Correct.
All right, and how many samples did you take?
Well, there were 3 white paint cans, and then there was a Tupperware container with white paint in it as well.
Okay,
That was seized from the property.
all right. And so the paint samples that you took were from the items that are up here on the counter? All right, can you, yeah.
We
Can,
just haven't answered that last question. I'm not sure if we had roughly in that.
Yep.
We got it.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
I forgot the question.
I believe it was these paint samples that I took came from these items.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have 4 sticks and 3 cans
Four.
of paint and 1 paint in a container,
Correct.
essentially. Okay. Can I have you identify which sample goes with which paint can, and do it by exhibit number, please?
Sure. So, exhibit 236 is a Rust-Oleum paint can, and I marked it with a 1 on the label and put my initials on it. Used a stir stick, just a common stir stick, to stir it up. This was how the lab told me to do it. Stirred it to make sure it was mixed. Got a good dip sample of it, and I also marked the stick with 1. And after it was dried, I put it into a sealed container with a description of the can.
Okay. What about the next stick and the next can, please?
You'll see a number 2 there with my initials, and a number 2 on the paint stick. I did the same thing, stirred it up with the paint stick, and took a sample, left it to dry, and then sealed it in a bag.
Can you read me the exhibit sticker from the stir stick?
I apologize.
That's okay.
The can is 113,
Okay.
is number 2, and the exhibit sticker for the sample is 296.
All right.
Third
one, go ahead.
Number 3, that I wrote on there with my initials, and number 3 on the paint stick, the stir stick. Again, same process. I stirred it up, took a good sample, let it dry, sealed it in. The can is exhibit 112, and the sample is exhibit 297. And I sealed it in a bag with a description of the can. The container with the paint is exhibit 299. And again, I opened that. Mark number 4 on the paint stick. And again, I stirred it up, took a sample. After it dried, I sealed it in a bag with a description of where it came from.
What did you do with those samples once you took them from the can?
Once I took them from the can, I took them to the Michigan State Police East Lansing Crime Lab and dropped them off because they already had their paint samples there. So,
Okay. And then you retired shortly after, correct?
and then that was one of my last duties before I retired. Yes.
Okay. Can you go back to exhibit the stick numbered 1 and tell me the exhibit number?
Exhibit 239.
And the can was 236, correct?
Yes.
All right, and the stick that's labeled 4? I have the can, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. The container for 4 is 299,
What's the stick?
and the stick is 298.
Thank you, I have nothing further.
Good. Oh, I'll wait for you to be done with all your bags.
All set. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Detective Sergeant Singleton.
Afternoon.
That's still the way to refer to you even though you're retired, correct?
Sure, I'll take it.
Okay, terrific. Now, you indicated you began working on the case in roughly March of 2022,
Correct.
and that was part of a task force?
Yes, it was. They brought us on to assist, and also the FBI, who had been assisting as well.
So it was the Lenawee County Sheriff's Department, Michigan State Police, and then the FBI. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, it was a loose task force. It was us coming to assist them, basically.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It was us coming to assist them, basically. I mean, I guess they call it a task force, but
And then officially, the Michigan State Police took over on or about August 9th, 2022?
that's correct.
And that was you and Detective Lieutenant Dreyer?
Correct.
Did the two of you work at partners? Did you work at his direction? Did he work at yours? How did that work?
Lieutenant Dreer is the officer in charge, and I work in his direction.
Okay. Now, I want to get to when you talked about the kind of this theory of welding. When did that come up? So let me walk back, if you don't mind.
It was in March of 2022 when I started reviewing everything, so that included the surveillance video. So,
And were you working on this full time?
yes, at that time I was.
So then when you said, essentially, there's a welding theory, a theory of welding that comes up. So when does that come up?
It was fairly early on. I mean, based on that video where he was checking the welder and he was it appeared to be a little frightened at a sound or something of that nature, we started to see that he was making contact with things that were associated with welding. So the official theory, I mean, at that point we said, there's something with welding here, but we just weren't sure what yet. So it was still early.
So is that maybe like March or April of 2022? There's something with welding, but you're not sure what it is?
I don't know if it was that early, but it was probably like April, May. Yeah.
Okay. Would you pull up that snip, Ms. Saylor, of Mr. Warner? I want to ask you a question about this. This is when he's in the shop. You said, thank you, said he moved in a suspicious manner and crouched down. What about that is suspicious?
To me, it just looked like as he was looking at the welder, he heard something. I knew that nobody else was on the property at that point, and he just seemed startled and was looking out and trying to duck out of view.
Duck out of view. Would you play that again? Okay, would you stop? Thanks. Thank you. So, you said you didn't think anyone else was on the property at that time.
Correct.
And then Mr. Warner presumably hears a noise or something, right?
Correct.
Goes like this to look at it? I mean, is that about the motion?
Well, he stepped behind the truck and then kind of ducked down.
Well, you said, okay, go back for me, if you will. Because you said crouch down or duck down. To me, this is bending at the waist. So I'm curious what you think is the crouching or ducking. And would you stop right there? Do you think he's fully behind that truck?
I don't know what he's looking at, but he made a definite sidestep behind the truck. I don't know what he was doing, but it struck me as he seemed startled by something outside.
Okay, so you watch that. I just want to make sure. You view that as him being startled, crouching down, ducking down behind a truck.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he goes back to doing whatever he's doing.
Yeah, it just, at the time, it struck me. I mean, at that time, it was early on in the investigation. We didn't know what happened. I was still investigating, everything. So, but that just stood out to me in the video. One of those things to mark and check on later.
Did you ask him? Because you interviewed him for a few hours in December of 2022, right?
Yes.
And that was with Detective Lieutenant Dreyer, correct?
Correct.
And his lawyer was there at the time?
Correct.
Did you talk to him at any other time?
I mean, when we were doing search warrants on the property, we had casual contact with each other during those search warrants.
Did you ever ask him to come in for an interview and he didn't?
No, not to come in for an interview, no.
So you've got this, what you deem to be suspicious crouching from a startling noise, and then you sort of said, boy, I wonder about that. Did you ask him in December, hey, listen, I'm going to show you this. What were you doing?
Yeah, no, we did not ask him that. There was so much in that 2 hours that we did cover. That is not something that that we asked him at that time.
So you just ran out of time?
No, it was just, there was other important matters. Like I said, this just struck me as initially, it was kind of a light bulb, like, maybe I better check on that later. It wasn't the aha moment we were looking for or anything
Right.
like that.
Right, you agree it's not the aha moment, correct?
It's a moment that caused me to look further into that theory.
And a moment that you never bothered to ask him about, or his lawyer at the time, Mr. Lee, right?
Objection, it's getting argumentative and asked and answered.
It's cross-examination.
But that doesn't allow you to be argumentative,
So,
and you have asked that question already.
okay. So, welding theory comes up in about April of 2022. Did you ever, moving on from asking him about the crouching, did you ever ask him about, were you welding? And if so, what were you doing?
Like I said, back then, initially, when I saw that, that's kind of when it appeared. We didn't have, obviously, the tank, the body, how it was disposed of.
He was doing as it relates to possibly welding, doing as it relates to looking at tools, taking tools, anything like that on April 25th, 2021.
No, the welding theory didn't come to fruition until we found the body. So it was not something that we were actively looking at that point.
So again, is the answer no? You never asked him about it?
No.
And then so the theory comes about in April of 2022. You don't ask about it. When do you look at that? Are you the one who looked at the body camera and said, boy, I think that's a non-factory weld?
I had seen the photos of the tank that her body was recovered in, and I saw the photos of it prior to that. So when I saw that body cam, it definitely appeared to me as the same tank, but I am no expert in welding. But it appeared to me it was discolored. The line was discolored. So it piqued my curiosity.
When? So I'm not asking about after she was discovered and you saw that tank. So you have a welding theory beginning of August of 2022. You're watching the body camera of Detective Greca on April 27, 2021, correct?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
When do you look at that and think that looks like a repair weld? That's actually the term used by Mr. Schmidt, the welding gentleman. So when do you think that looks like a repair weld?
Like I said, like I testified earlier, when you have context later, after we found the tank, and then I rewatched the video, that's when it kind of, I'm like, oh, that appears to me. And I don't know repair welds from a regular weld, but it didn't look like a normal tank that I'd seen before.
But so how would you think to look at the tanks if you're saying it only kind of, that light bulb moment, according to you, is after the tank is found and she's in it? How does anyone think to look at the tanks?
Oh, initially why we looked at the tank,
Right.
we had this welding theory. There was, there was other things throughout the investigation that kind of said, we should start, after things calmed down on certain things, we said we need to go back and make sure we cross all our T's and dot all our I's. That's when we decided, Detective Lieutenant Dreer decided, let's locate all these tanks that he has and see if we can see anything.
So when was that?
That was shortly before her body was found.
Would that have been August of 2024?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on the timing. So April 2022, you have this theory of welding. You investigate for the next couple of years. Then in August of 2024, Detective Lieutenant Dreyer says, we should look at these tanks. Was it because there was a issue with a non-factory weld or a repair weld that someone observed, or was it just, we want to look at all of these tanks?
No, up to that point, we weren't, didn't know she was in a tank, but we had seen internet searches about how to bury an anhydrous tank. So up to a certain point, we felt that perhaps it was, she was buried. The working theory is that she was buried somewhere. It wasn't until August of 24, there was kind of a moment of, okay, let's step back and take a look at everything. And Detective Lieutenant Drewer came up with the idea, hey, let's take a look at these tanks. If there's, so yes, that's kind of when the theory of, well, maybe it's not underground, maybe it's above ground, and that's when that started.
And so then, is that in a meeting that the two of you have, or with other people, where he has that theory, and then you determine how to act on that?
Yeah, we chat and collaborate all the time, but yeah.
So he has the theory in August of 2024, hey, let's take a look at these tanks, and let's say there are roughly 40 of them, right? Well, how many of them do you think there are?
I'm not sure. He handled most of that.
Okay, so I'll ask him next week. But so let's say there's roughly 40. Were you looking at a particular tank, or was it just let's look at all these tanks?
Well, again, to be clear, I was not there for the search of the tanks, but it was to identify where he keeps his tanks, how many of there were, if there was paperwork that told us how many tanks there were, see if there were any unaccounted for, that kind of thing.
So, and that was a search of the Paragon property, and then was it also a search of the Munger property?
Again, I was out of town during
Okay.
that time, so I'm not exactly sure. I know there were a couple different properties where these tanks were held.
So, to your knowledge, there was a search of all the various properties where tanks were held.
Correct.
And it was not sort of in search of a particular tank, but it was looking at all the tanks to see if there was something that was unusual. And if that's not fair or that's not accurate, let me know.
No, my understanding, it was a search for, to take a look at all the tanks in general.
Had anyone told you a particular tank to look for? So, a family member, anything like that, or this was just you're looking at all these tanks?
No, it was just that we decided at that point to take a look at these tanks.
And you indicated, so when you were looking at that repair weld, that non-factory weld, you're looking at the body camera after the tank was found, and then that's when you're like, okay, I think that might be the tank. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes.
Thank you. Now, going back a bit, you said that there had been a search of the Paragon property, and I know you answered this to Ms. Wise, but so if you're driving down the road, there's Paragon North to your right and then Paragon South to your left. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And Paragon South is where there's the structure and then there are tanks that were there.
Correct.
And then Paragon North, do you know, were both sides searched at one point? Not when the tank was found where Ms. Warner was, but prior to that, were both sides of Paragon searched?
I'm not sure before we got involved in the investigation when there was searches if both sides were searched. I know the north side was. I wasn't there when they searched the Paragon property, so I'm just not sure if that included the south or not.
Sure. So then you said that there was a search of Munger, and that would have been in May 2023, and not just Munger, but this massive search. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And then, do you know, was Mr. Warner allowed to stay on the Munger property, or was he, while there was a search there, or was he instructed to leave?
No, we didn't want him working on any of the properties that we were searching.
Okay. So he's multiple searches, then he is told to leave, and so he leaves any of the property that's being searched, correct? Is that accurate?
Correct.
And then I want to make sure I just have this correct. Then he goes to Paragon North, and is doing work there? Because that's not an area that's being searched at the time.
Yeah, to be clear, let me correct myself. I don't believe the Munger address itself was part of that search.
Okay.
It was just fields surrounding it. So, no, we would not necessarily have him leave his house at that point, because we were searching fields behind it or adjacent to it, but he could still have control over his own property.
So, but he couldn't do any work on any of the fields. So if he had to plow, plant, fertilize, do anything, he couldn't do that.
Correct.
Okay. So he went to a property that, at least at that time, was not going to be searched, and that was the Paragon North property?
He had no way of knowing what
Right.
was going to be searched and what was not going to be searched.
Okay, so he had no way of knowing what was going to be searched or what wasn't going to be searched.
No.
So he goes to do work on the Paragon North property, and then that's when a search warrant was ultimately obtained for that property. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it was on our radar, but because it had been searched before, we weren't sure if we were going to search it again, but because that's where he responded to when we were searching, it was just one more thing that kind of pushed it over the edge that we should probably search that.
And when that property was searched, you said it was excavated. So is that like a big, huge machine and they're like digging up dirt and looking under the ground?
Yes,
And nothing was found there, correct?
correct.
Now, you had indicated that Mr. Warner asked sort of, what are you doing, right? And you have to answer yes or
I'm
no
sorry,
for
yes.
the record. No, that's okay. You've been doing great. And then he offered to stay if needed. Is that something, what exactly did he say?
I believe he offered to use his equipment and dig for us.
Okay. And then you said, no, thank you.
Yeah, correct.
Right. And then he went on about his way, and nothing again was found at that property.
Well, the
On the
Paragon-
north, on the Paragon
On the north,
on the
no.
excavation.
No.
When you said that you had noticed on the surveillance camera he got, for example, an angle grinder, things like that, did you know that based on just your experience, or did somebody have to tell you what that was?
The angle grinder I knew. Some of the other stuff I wasn't quite familiar with. I'm not a farm guy. I'm not a welding guy. So, but I knew an angle grinder. I've used an angle grinder before. I know the purposes of it and what you can do with it.
Thank you. Now, throughout your investigation, you did other things as well, correct?
Correct.
I mean, lots of other things.
Correct.
So, and we only talked about just a few of them. But so, for example, when Ms. Warner's body was found, her fingernail clippings were taken, correct?
I assume so, yes.
Would you like to see a report that says so if you need to refresh your memory?
For sure, yes.
Thank you. You'd go to page 2. Her fingernail clippings were taken, correct?
Correct.
You also, moving on to the paint that you seized, you went in 2024 and took those 3 paint cans, correct?
Correct.
And then that container, that little Tupperware type container of paint.
Correct.
And you also said you were looking for things like blue tarps and duct tape, those sorts of things, correct?
Correct.
What, were you surprised to see paint on a farm?
No, not necessarily.
Would you be surprised if you had found duct tape, tarps, anything like that on a farm?
No, I wasn't surprised that we'd find them.
Did you know, or do you know, when that paint was purchased?
I do not.
Because you're seizing it in 2024, correct?
Correct.
And do you know where anything else was purchased? Tarps, duct tape, anything like that that you were looking for?
No.
Finally, during the course of the investigation on October 12th, 2022, you met with Greg Hardy, who is Ms. Warner's brother, right?
October 12th, 2022. I mean, I would take your word for it.
Okay,
Yes.
if you want to see, do you want to see a report?
No, I take your word for
Okay.
it. That was the date. I did meet with him, yes.
And I'm correct, Mr. Hardy, Greg Hardy is Ms. Warner's brother, correct?
Correct.
Now, he had provided a thumb drive with some recordings on it, right?
Correct.
Do you remember the incident I'm talking about?
Yes,
And you took that thumb drive because you thought it might be important to the investigation?
correct.
He had indicated essentially he hired somebody to do some interviews and he was handing that to law enforcement, correct?
Correct.
And again, you took it. Did you download it or anything at that time, or you didn't have time?
No, when I met him, he handed me a thumb drive.
Okay.
With the audio interviews on them.
And then what did Mr. Hardy do after that?
He wanted to sit down and talk to me further.
Did he ultimately revoke consent for you to be able to, the police to view those interviews?
Yes.
How did he do that?
He sent me a text message saying that he wants his thumb drive. He changed his mind. He wants his thumb drive back, and that we didn't have permission to take them or to listen to them.
Did you give him that thumb drive back?
No.
Did you keep that text message from Mr. Hardy?
I memorialized it in my report. I put it in my report that that occurred, and then I obtained a search warrant to search the thumb drive anyway, make a copy of it, and then kept that for evidence.
Did you tell him why you weren't going to give it back to him? So, for example, he said something, and again, we don't have the text message, so I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially says, I'm revoking consent. I don't want you to look at those interviews. Did you respond back and say, I'm getting a search warrant, or did you just ignore it, or how did you respond?
No, I did. I said that I was not going to give it back, and we would, I had obtained it legally. Now, to search it with the revoked consent, I went ahead and got a search warrant. So I told them that I would get a search warrant, make a copy of it, and return his original to him.
You talked about Mr. Warner kind of being suspicious when he heard a noise and ducked down. What did you think of that when Mr. Hardy revoked consent?
Prior to that, when we were discussing at his farm after he gave it to me, we had a little disagreement about the certain aspects of the investigation, I believe. I don't recall exactly what it was about. But he was frustrated. He's frustrated. His sister's missing.
So I'm going to stop you right there only because it's non-responsive to my question.
She asked him what he thought about what would Mr. Hardy revoke consent.
Okay, his answer was not talking about what he thought about that consent. He was going in a different direction, so I would agree with Ms. Chardon's.
Thank you. So Detective Sergeant Singleton, I'm just going to kind of narrow you in.
Sure.
And we don't have a recording of that exchange. Would you agree?
Agree.
Between you and Mr. Hardy?
Correct.
And that's because you chose not to record it?
Yeah, it was not an interview.
Sure. And again, I'm just saying, so you're trying to go back off of memory or so I just want to ask, when he revoked consent, did you view that as suspicious?
Based on the conversation I had had with him prior and the information I have, it didn't surprise me that he did. But
it didn't surprise you that he said he had valuable information to the investigation, but then says, but I don't want you to take a look at it?
he didn't say it was valuable information. He said, I have these interviews. Would you like them? And I said, absolutely. Any interviews of particular witnesses, I want all of them. So he didn't portray it to me as he has valuable evidence, but I requested them and he gave them to me. He was upset that we had a disagreement. And after I left the farm is when I got the text message.
He might not have used the word valuable, but he thought it was important enough to give it to you, correct?
I requested it, yes.
Right. Sure.
Yep.
And you thought it was important enough to take it.
Sure. I collect all the information. It doesn't matter if I feel it's important or not. If there's information, especially witness interviews, I'll take it.
And then he's the one who said, I don't want you to look at it, prompting you to get the search warrant.
Asked and answered.
I'm just trying to get that timeline go. So then he's the one who said, I don't want you to look at it, and that prompted you to get the search warrant.
Correct.
I have no additional questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, correct me if I'm wrong, but on cross-examination, did you indicate that the defendant was asked to leave at least one other property in the during the May 2023 search warrants?
I'm sorry, was he asked to leave?
Any other property besides the Paragon property?
I don't recall if he showed up at any other properties. I wasn't at every property that was being searched at the time.
Okay, so the only one you knew that you have knowledge about is showing up at Paragon?
Right.
Okay. You indicated that you had a welding theory kind of early on, based on the welding stuff, and you indicated an internet search?
Correct.
Okay. And all of the searches that you did on the properties associated with the defendant, were those focused underground?
Yeah, for the most part, based on those internet searches, you know, how to bury an anhydrous ammonia tank after she was missing, our working theory was that she was buried somewhere.
If that search was actually not how to bury it, but what to do with an old tank, do you recall that search?
No.
Okay. If we had somebody that has already testified that that was the search, did you watch any videos associated with that?
No, the finding of that issue
Was Detective
was
Drury?
Detective Drury.
Okay, so you're not the one that found that? That
That
was
found the
just...
text, I was shown it later.
Okay, all right.
Or the search, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I just wanted clarification. Prior to being involved in this case, did you know Dale Warner?
No,
Did you know Dee Warner?
no,
Did you know Greg Hardy?
no,
Did you know any of the Hardy family?
no.
During an interview of a suspect, is it normal not to ask every single question?
Yeah, it's perfectly normal. Yeah, it's normal.
Nothing further.
Nothing additional. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And are we excusing Detective Singleton from this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. You also,
Oh, yeah.
All right, so it is almost 4:30. So we will recess for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we have? Yeah, we had. Oh, Detective Tim's
Don't
needs to come
leave.
back to the
Right.
witness stand. So we have a few questions from the jury. The first is, was Dale interviewed again after Dee's body was found?
We attempted
Well,
to.
right,
Yeah,
so,
and
Mom, my
you can answer that yes or no without further elaboration.
Oh, sorry. No.
The next question is, was it determined how much money Dee had in her accounts after she went missing? If so, how much would that in total be?
That's hard. I did look at that. I did note that. From the top of my head, I can't recall. There was money left behind in accounts that belonged to her that if you're leaving forever, that you would have taken.
objection. That goes far afield of the question and is also speculative. I think the question was how much was in the accounts, and that, if he doesn't remember, that's an acceptable answer. To talk about anything else, again, is improper.
I'll follow up. I agree that you can strike the rest of that. I'll follow up.
Okay, I do think that the portion of the answer regarding how much a person would have taken is speculative, and so I will strike that answer and direct the jury not to consider that portion of the answer. The next question is, if there was a search warrant for the property on April 27th, how could Dale say not to search certain areas?
So to clarify, the sheriff's department went to the property and was conducting a search earlier in the day. That's where that body cam was from. Then they were bringing the drone and dogs out. And when that occurred, Mr. Warner revoked consent to search that property. So the law enforcement left. When you're on consent, he can consent for you not to search certain things. They left, got a search warrant, came back to the property, then there's no limiting of anything. So they could search anything they wanted.
Okay, and for the last question, I want you to limit the answer to the time of her disappearance. And the question is, was there a life insurance policy in Dee's name? If so, do you know the amount?
Yes, there was, and I do not recall the amount.
All right, Ms. Wise, do you have any further questions for Detective Singleton?
I do, as it relates to the bank accounts of Miss Warner that you were looking at, was her personal accounts that she had access to, were they being used after April 25th, 2021?
No.
We just talked about search warrants, executing search warrants. When you're executing a search warrant, do you call the party that you're going to go do the search on and tell them that you're 20 minutes out or that you're on the way?
No.
Thank you.
I have nothing additional. Thank you.
Yes, the lab came out after we seized the tank, and they took scrapings of the tank in certain locations. That's all lab stuff, but they did. I observed them do that, and then that's when they requested that I take samples from the ones that we'd seized at the property.
Anything further, Ms. Wise?
No, Your Honor.
Sure.
No, thank you.
Okay. Looks like we have no other questions from the jurors, so you are excused at this point.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for your time. And ladies and gentlemen, we will be breaking at this point. We will resume tomorrow morning, hopefully at 9 a.m. My goal is to start at least one day at 9 a.m. So we'll do our best. So if you'll be here shortly before 9 a.m., we'll do our best to get started at 9. And during the trial, do not read, listen to, or watch any news reports about the case. Under the law, the evidence that you consider to decide the case must meet certain standards. For example, witnesses must swear to tell the truth, and the lawyers must be able to cross-examine them. Because news reports do not have to meet these standards, they could give you incorrect or misleading information that might unfairly favor one side. So to be fair to both sides, you must follow that instruction. Thank you for your time. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. All right, I just want to make a record of the fact that of all of the questions the jury asked of Detective Singleton, that all questions were agreed to by the prosecution and the defense, with the exception of the question about the life insurance policy. And Ms. Chartier, you had an objection to that, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to make a record of that.
Thank you. My concern was the relevance. My concern was it opening up the door to civil matters that Mr. Head is handling. I think that Ms. Wise suggested the narrowing of it on the date that she was missing, which did address some of that. And Detective Sergeant Singleton answered the question sort of precisely. There was no follow-up. I did object at the bench. My concern, quite frankly, did not come to fruition with lots of things coming from it, but I did object. Thank you.
I will say thank you for touching on that. The limitation as to the time frame was not in the juror's original question. That was something that arose as a result of the discussion that occurred at the bench. And my decision ultimately was that the question is relevant to potentially an issue of motive, and so that's why I believe it relevant and asked the question. Is there anything else that we need to address today before we adjourn?
I was going to say no, thank you, but it looks like I'm going to sit down. There might be something.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, so we will be in recess until tomorrow morning at 9.